In the morning, the city is still hazy, but the pace of life has already quickened. Everyone rushes headlong into a new day, rushing to drink, rushing to eat, rushing to run, as if time is chasing them from behind. Yet, among that stream of people, some slow their step, not because they are lazy, but because they know clearly where they are going. They do not live according to the schedules of others, but according to their own principles. That is what makes them different. And it is also what Marcus Aurelius, the greatest Stoic emperor, understood better than anyone. He did not just rule an empire, but he also battled with himself to keep his mind from being swept away by power, fame, and emotional storms. In the book Meditations, which he wrote amidst fierce campaigns on the Roman frontier, he reminded himself daily to live with discipline, purpose, and reason. In today's world, where temptation is only a click away, where the easy path is always more enticing than the right one, self-discipline is no longer a choice, but a necessity for maintaining self-control. It is not severity, but freedom. It is not compulsion, but the journey back to oneself. Today, we will explore 10 Stoic lessons to help you build unshakable inner strength. A discipline that will not only keep you steady amidst challenges, but also enable you to live more proactively, clearly, and freely every day. And if you are also learning how to keep your mind firm amidst the uncertain flow of life, stay until the end of this video, because perhaps this is the journey you are seeking. Number 1. Live with your purpose. Every morning when you wake up, what is the first thing that gets you out of bed? For most of us, it might be work, responsibilities, or simply a habit. But for Marcus Aurelius, that reason was much deeper. He believed that every person is born to fulfill a mission, a unique role that nature has assigned. And when we live true to that mission, discipline is no longer a burden, but becomes a joy. Marcus once reminded himself, "Remember why you were born. Do what human beings are born to do." That is not just a call to action, but a guiding principle for an entire life. He understood that purpose is the energy source of discipline. A person with no reason to act will soon tire, but a person with a goal will be persistent, even through exhaustion. Look at yourself. What are you living to accomplish? If every action you take is connected to something meaningful, no matter how small, you will no longer need to force yourself to try. Discipline is no longer a battle against laziness, but a natural journey to move closer to what you believe in. The Stoics do not chase inspiration. They live with purpose and allow that purpose to guide every action, every thought. And if one day you find yourself lost, stop, take a deep breath, and ask, does what I am doing today truly serve the person I want to become? Because discipline doesn't start with what to do, but with knowing why you must do it. Number 2, count on yourself. There are days when you wait for someone to motivate you to start working. You wait for someone's validation to feel worthwhile. Then you realize, if you keep waiting, your life will be controlled by others. Marcus Aurelius once advised, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That is not just advice, but a wake-up call. He chose to act instead of waiting, because he understood that true strength begins when you lead yourself, doing the right thing, even when no one is watching. When you rely too heavily on others for motivation, you will easily fall when they leave. But when you learn to rely on yourself, you will never truly be abandoned. That is the spirit of self-discipline. No blaming, no excuses, no waiting for others. Start with the smallest things. Set commitments for yourself and keep your promises to yourself. Waking up on time, finishing a task, exercising, and reading a few pages every day. Because every time you do what you say you will do, your internal belief grows a little stronger. And that belief is the most solid foundation of discipline. When you believe in yourself, you don't need to seek permission from anyone else. Because ultimately, the only person responsible for your life is you. Number 3. The power of small steps. We often think of discipline as something grand, a major turning point, a perfect plan, or a life-altering resolution. But in Stoic philosophy, discipline does not come from moments of explosion, but from small actions, repeated consistently. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, "Don't just talk about what a good man is like. Be one in every single action." He understood that life is shaped not by ideas, but by habits. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to strive a little bit every day. Waking up 10 minutes earlier to write down your plan for the day. Exercising for just 10 minutes, even when your body is tired. Choosing to read a few pages of a book instead of scrolling through social media. Completing a difficult task even when you are not in the mood. These seemingly small things, when repeated long enough, will transform into a discipline as strong as steel. Change never happens overnight, but across hundreds of mornings when you still choose to do the right thing even without praise. Every consistent action is a brick, and over time, those bricks build the sturdy wall of self-belief. One day, you will look back and realize you have traveled far, not because of one giant leap, but because of thousands of small steps that never gave up. Because true power doesn't come from one explosive moment, but from the small steps you keep taking, even when no one is watching. Number 4. Train your mind through challenge. The mind cannot become strong through ease. Just as muscles need weight to grow, the will needs challenges to be trained. But challenges don't only come from major events. Sometimes, they are hidden in the smallest things we face every day. When you force yourself to wake up early instead of sleeping for 10 more minutes, that is a small victory. When you choose to see a task through to the end despite boredom, you are teaching your mind endurance. When you maintain your composure during a tense conversation, you are proving that reason is stronger than emotion. And when you don't give up, even when things don't go as expected, you are building a quiet strength, the kind of strength that only forms when we move through difficulty. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Do not wish for things to happen as you wish, but wish for those things that do happen to be as you wish." A common interpretation of a core Stoic idea is, do not seek for things to happen as you wish. Rather, wish that what happens turns out well, and you will get on well. That is the essence of inner training. The Stoics do not seek to avoid difficulties. They choose to confront them to train their will. They know that every time we step through something uncomfortable, it is a time we expand our own limits. A challenge viewed with the right perspective is a gift that helps us mature. Without it, the mind remains weak, easily shaken by every small matter. But when we learn to overcome daily difficulties, we gradually become the person who can stand firm against major storms. We cannot avoid all suffering in life, but we can learn how to prevent suffering from controlling us. Number 5. Master. What's your control? There are days when you feel exhausted, not because of the things you have to do, but because of the things you cannot control. The weather changes, others behave unkindly, plans are ruined, and you feel your mind swaying with everything outside. But for Stoic philosophy, true peace does not come from everything going smoothly, but from knowing what belongs to us and what does not. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That quote seems simple, yet it is the foundation for the entire philosophy of self-mastery, because most of our pain does not come from the events themselves, but from how we react to those events. Consider this. You cannot control others, but you can control how you respond to them. You cannot dictate the outcome, but you can do your best in the action today. You cannot stop the rain from falling, but you can choose your attitude when walking in the rain. The Stoics live with that clear distinction every day. Before any problem, they ask themselves, is this within my control? If yes, take action. If no, let it go. That is not an attitude of indifference, but the wisdom of selection, so that energy is channeled into what can be changed. And when you cultivate that ability, mastering your response instead of reacting unconsciously, letting go instead of trying to hold on, you will realize, when you can control yourself, nothing outside can make you tremble. Number 6. Respond, don't complain. When life doesn't go as planned, the first human reflex is usually to complain. A complaint, a sigh, a rhetorical, "Why me?" Seemingly simple, yet they gradually weaken our minds. Because every time we complain, we're telling ourselves that we are powerless. The Stoics understood that true strength lies not in avoiding difficulty, but in how we choose to respond to it. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If it is in your power to set right, do it. If not, accept it with a quiet mind." This is a reminder that we cannot control the world, but we can learn to control ourselves. Complaining doesn't help us change our circumstances. It only makes us lose the ability to change them. Therefore, instead of complaining, act. Instead of getting annoyed by traffic, turn on a relaxing song or listen to a podcast. Instead of being angry about a delayed project, focus on improving the part of the work that is within your control. Instead of getting upset when others behave badly, maintain your composure to prove that you are not being controlled by their emotions. Every time you choose action over complaint, you are affirming that you are the master, not the victim. Complaining might offer momentary relief, but action is what truly leads to change. A disciplined person doesn't react according to emotion. They act according to reason. And when you learn that, you will see, true strength was never in the complaint. It's in your very next step. Number 7. Choose growth over pleasure. Human instinct often seeks comfort. We prefer to choose the softer chair, the shorter path, the quicker joy. But what is easy rarely helps us grow. When we constantly chase comfort, we are losing our own inner strength. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, "A human is born not to evade difficulty, but to live according to reason, even if that requires effort." For him, pleasure was not the enemy, but a test, to see if we are mastering ourselves or being controlled by ourselves. Observe yourself in the everyday moments, sleeping in or waking up early to train, making an excuse or getting down to action, continuing to procrastinate or completing a task even when no one is watching. These choices might seem small, but this is where character is formed. Every time you choose the difficult but right thing, you are sending a message to your mind. I am a person who can be trusted. The Stoics do not deny joy. They simply do not let it control them. They find joy in the journey of getting better. In every time they overcome temptation, every difficult task completed, and in the moment of realizing they are moving closer to the strongest version of themselves. Because ultimately, true freedom does not come from pursuing pleasure, but from the ability to self-regulate, so that we choose the right thing even when it is not easy. Number 8. Stay silent, stay strong. There is a strength that comes neither from words nor from actions, but from the ability to be silent at the right time. In a world where everyone wants to express themselves, the person who maintains composure is the one who makes others listen. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Let your deeds speak for you." He did not view silence as weakness, but as a sign of a trained mind, a mind that does not need to argue to prove what is right. The reality is, the faster we react, the more control we lose. When we know how to stop, how to listen, and choose silence when necessary, we are retaining our strength for ourselves. Try to recall the last time you became angry because of a comment. You reacted immediately and later regretted your response. If, at that moment, you could have paused for a second and taken a deep breath, you would not only have pushed back the anger, but also proved that your mind is stronger than your emotions. The Stoics believe that stillness is the foundation of wisdom. Only in silence can we truly hear what we are thinking, and clearly see what is worth saying and what should be let go. Silence is not about avoidance, but about preparing for action more clearly and profoundly. The strength of a mature person is not in how much or how little they speak, but in when they choose to speak and when they should be silent. Because sometimes, composure is the most impactful answer. Number 9. Emulate the wise. No one can become wise alone. Even Marcus Aurelius, an emperor, a philosopher, dedicated a large part of meditations to recording the things he learned from others. He knew that the path to maturity is not built through isolation, but through living examples that inspire us to become better. We all need people to remind us of the virtues we aspire to possess: resilience, humility, and integrity. They could be a teacher, a friend, or even an ordinary person who lived true to their values. Learning from them is not about copying, but about reflection to look back at ourselves. Marcus once wrote that he was grateful to his grandfather for teaching him calmness, grateful to his adoptive father for kindness, and grateful to his teacher for simplicity. He didn't just admire them. He chose to incorporate those virtues into his own way of living. In your journey, find such role models. Observe how they handle adversity, how they stay calm when misunderstood, and how they treat the less fortunate. Every time you learn something from them, don't just memorize it. Try to live with it, even if only for a day. Because wisdom does not come from knowing, but from living what you know. The Stoics believe that knowledge is only valuable when it is transformed into action. And every time you choose to emulate goodness, you are extending the legacy of those who came before you, those who proved that living with virtue is the noblest way to exist. Number 10. End the day with clarity. As the day closes, most of us allow our minds to drift into uncompleted worries, unfinished conversations, undone tasks, unresolved emotions. Yet, for the Stoics, the evening is not a time for complaining, but a moment for self-reflection and clarification. Marcus Aurelius often spent the last hours of each day writing. Not to recount events, but to observe himself, to see how he had lived, how he had reacted, and what he could do better. This was not judgment, but a moment of honesty with himself. You can also start with very simple questions. Did I live according to my values today? Did I maintain my composure during difficult times? What did I do that made me proud? And what do I wish I could do over? Write it down, or simply reflect in a few minutes of stillness. Do not let your mind carry unfinished matters into the new day. When we dare to look back at ourselves with honesty and composure, the mind gradually becomes clearer, like still water reflecting after the ripples have subsided. The Stoics believe that a day well lived is not a perfect day, but a day when we know we tried to live rightly. And when night falls, if we can smile at ourselves, not because everything went smoothly, but because we lived consciously, then that has been a truly worthwhile day. When you end the day with clarity, you will begin the new day with strength. These 10 lessons on discipline are not just principles to memorize, but 10 small steps on the journey back to yourself. From living with purpose, believing in yourself, and persisting in every action. To learning how to face challenges, master emotions, and maintain composure amidst change, all converge at a single root: the steadfastness of the mind. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Our life is shaped by what we repeat every day." And indeed, self-discipline is not compulsion, but a conscious choice. The choice to live by values instead of emotions, the choice to act instead of complain, and the choice to grow instead of being comfortable. When you start this journey, don't expect it to always be easy. There will be days when you are tired, discouraged, and want to quit. But it is precisely in those moments that you are being trained, little by little, to become stronger. Because discipline is not created under favorable conditions, but on the days when you continue, even when no one sees. The Stoics believe that the greatest freedom for a human being does not lie in the ability to do anything they want, but in the ability to master themselves, regardless of the circumstances. And when you acquire that, the external world no longer has the power to shake your heart. If these lessons resonated with you, please share them to spread the Stoic spirit to more people. And if you wish to continue the journey of training your mind, subscribe to the channel so we can move forward together, one day at a time. Thank you for staying until the end of the video.